Impact segment tonight, we continue our reporting on the legalization of marijuana and how it affects American children. Let me establish some common ground. Every sane person understands that intoxication is bad for kids, right? So we'll start there. Also, every sane person knows there's a huge difference between how adults handle drugs and alcohol as opposed to children. Now, all the polls say that the legalization of marijuana is now favored by the majority of Americans. Colorado, Washington State, the first to legalize pots. More states will do the same. That's a big difference from just 10 years ago when marijuana legalization was opposed by most Americans. The change had been brought about by the media, primarily, who actively glorify pot use in many precincts. And kids are getting the message. The studies say pot use and acceptance of marijuana is quickly rising among American teenagers. Let me be clear. That's a bad thing. No good can come of it. So why then do Americans continue to accept an expansion of intoxicating agents like pot? There's a big difference between drinking a glass of wine or beer and ingesting the THC that pot contains. Let me repeat, that's a big difference. Alcohol abuse is a tremendous problem in this country, you all know that, and so is drug abuse. And now a major gateway drug, marijuana, is becoming socially acceptable in many places. The latest is the head of the National Football League saying he might support medical marijuana being used to help injured players.
I don't know what's going to develop as far as the next opportunity in medicine to evolve and to help either deal with pain or to help with injuries. But we will try to continually support the evolution of medicine.
Well, the unintended consequence of Mr. Goodell's outlook is that every player in the NFL could conceivably be using pot because they're all hurt. Every one of them at one time or another. And medical marijuana is used for headaches. You can get a prescription for headaches. And of course, the kids, if that were to come to pass, would see pot attached to football. Now, I don't care what adults do in their own homes. Want to smoke pot? Go right ahead. Have a legitimate medical condition that pot relieves? You should be able to get it. But those who illegally sell the drug should be prosecuted because they're doing harm, as the pot they sell sometimes gets into the hands of children. The pushers are responsible for what they do. Unfortunately, there's no turning back this pot tide. I know it. My campaign will not convince the marijuana advocates to change their collective minds. That's because they either use the drugs themselves or feel that the drug culture should not be a government concern, that it's hurting the country if the government gets involved. So no matter how much I warn the public that children will be harmed by this trend, no matter how much I do that, it will not matter. Therefore, American children will face yet another obstacle, yet another socially acceptable temptation, as if they don't have enough. In a moment.